everybody, I'm Carmen Shenk. I'm the Tiny House Foodie, and welcome back. It's January the 15th, and this is the beginning of the third week of the Right Sizing Your Kitchen video challenge. Now, today I'm going to take on coffee and tea. Now, you can take a look around your kitchen and look at all the coffee and tea gear that you have, but I'm going to show you our tiny house way of doing coffee and tea. And what I hope to accomplish by doing this is to challenge your thinking of what you actually need, because what we need is based on what we're used to. If you change what you're used to, it may change what you need. So today, are you ready for this? We're taking on coffee. Now, a good cup of coffee starts with a tea kettle in my house. Now, I have two tea kettles here. This one's round on the bottom, and I picked this up at a thrift store. I don't know if you can read the word that's on there. My husband named it Snowden because it's a whistler. But it's round on the bottom, which means it doesn't connect with the burner much. This would be good for a gas stove, but it's not an ideal choice for an electric range like this one. So if you're looking for an electric range, keep that in mind and choose one like this one that is flat on the bottom. Okay, now this is almost ready. And I'm going to show you how we do coffee, okay? This is very simple. We keep the coffee in the jar, and literally there's a spoon that is in the jar with it. It could not be easier. Put a teaspoon of the coffee in there, and add water. It's that simple, okay? Now, tea is just slightly more complicated. Not really. I use a loose tea. This is a rooibos Earl Grey tea that I really love. And I put it in the bottom, just like so. And if you have one of these, you probably already know this, but to just fill the bottom. You don't have to fill the whole thing in order to get a really great cup of coffee. So you put that in there. Add the hot water on top. And of course, if you're going to add cream, leave a little bit of room, okay? So, with the coffee, I poured water straight in on top of grounds, okay? You caught that, right? Okay. So, Xavier will take the fork and just stir the top a little bit. And by the time the foam goes away, all of the coffee grounds will have sunk to the bottom, and you can safely drink the coffee off the top, okay? Just don't drink that last tablespoon that has the coffee grounds in it, because that might be a little unpleasant, okay? And then the tea is done. Now, Xavier introduced me to this. This is Amarula. It is a South African cream liqueur, and it is amazing in a cup of Earl Grey tea. It may also be amazing in coffee, but that's just something that we do every now and then as a very special treat on a hot morning. So that's how we do tiny house coffee and tea. There's no other machinery. There's no filter. There's no gadget to clean, with the exception of this, and that's pretty easy. It really could not be simpler. Now, I show you this to challenge you, because if your coffee ritual is more complicated than this one, then I want you to think about it carefully. And I would encourage you actually to try doing this once. Try this with your coffee and see if it's something that you can handle. And the point being that in a tiny house, you may not have space for that big machine, and you may not have, if you're in an off-grid situation, you may not have the power for that big machine either. This takes very little power, very little energy, and the same equipment is good for both coffee and tea. There's no specialized equipment. It's all very simple. So I want you to take a look at the ecological aspects of what you do also. Try to purchase your coffee, fair trade as possible, and avoid the pods. You know, the pods that are impossible to recycle. Avoid those. And for tea, if you can avoid the tea bags and use loose leaf tea, you'll probably end up with a better product. So I keep my tea in a mason jar, of course. And in this particular case, because this is especially nice tea, I've kept the label in there so I know where to go back to get more of that kind because it's amazing. Now, you can also take just plain rooibos loose tea, and you can add essential oils, for example, lemon, orange, bergamot, and just add the essential oils to the lemon, add the essential oils to the tea, and then when you have, let it sit for a day or two, and then when you drink it, you will have these amazing flavors in your tea. And it's better than actually drinking a cup with that stuff just sitting on the top. The flavor is infused through the water, and it's really amazing. So that's another place for that these essential oils come in really handy. So let me think. I think I've given you the tips, but I want you to have courage and have a little faith. The beauty of a tea and a coffee ritual is that you get a moment to savor a flavor that you like. And if you can do it in a way that's good for the environment and that doesn't take up a lot of space in your tiny house, doesn't take up a lot of energy, but that still produces that decadent cup that you appreciate first thing in the morning, then you have hit exactly the right note. And you know what? People love getting coffee stuff as a gift for all of that extra stuff in your collection. It's okay to let it go. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to do coffee and tea like we do. No, of course not. It just happens that we're not like coffee snobs necessarily. So this is a really good choice for us. And in 125 square feet, it's ideal because there was no place on the cabinet to put another piece of equipment, and no plug-in either. I mean, we had the outlet. It's just that there was, you know, if there was something running, then that meant the heat wasn't on. So there's some parts of the year you really don't want to go there. Trust me. So anyway, that's coffee and tea from a tiny house perspective. Choose your ritual carefully. Go more and more green. Make sure you're using recyclable stuff. Use loose tea, or find a way to make coffee without the filter, and certainly get rid of the pods. Those things are horrible. Okay, so I hope I've given you some food for thought without completely freaking you out today. Coffee and tea, day 15 of the Right Sizing Your Kitchen video series. It can be done. It can be done. Scout's honor. You can do it. If I can do it, you can too. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.
This is how we make coffee in a very simple way. Wait for the kettle to boil. Empty mug. Coffee. Can be ground whichever way you like it. Fine, not so fine, whatever. 1 spoon, or pick your strength. Put it back in there. Wait for the kettle. There we go. Kettle's boiling. Boom. And right now all the grounds are floating to the top, creating a nice little carpet, wet carpet on top. And we are simply going to wait maybe a minute. No, we are just going to wait a minute or so. And then the coffee grounds will be will have soaked up some water, will get heavy, and they start settling down to the ground. Quite simple. And so in about a minute or 2 minutes maybe, It'll be just fine and drinkable. And the way to find out is you can bump it gently. That helps also coffee grounds to come down. I do not know if you can see that. Somehow there's a nice film, just like what you see on a cappuccino cup. And I help those guys, if I'm really thirsty, I help those guys to sink or to have my first sip by just blowing them away. The grounds. By blowing the foam away, you can see how many grounds are still floating on top. Oh, as I say, in a minute they'll all be down. And then we can have our coffee. Simple. Bye. Got work to do.